there are studies that show that somewhere only between about 10 and 20% of us actually love the job that we do. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to my funky brain. My name is Dennis. I was just at the gym and I was talking with a friend of mine about anxiety and depression and what a real problem it is. In today's modern world, there's so much of it going on. There's just so much stuff going on, and we're trying to figure out, like, what are the real reasons behind the depression and the anxiety? Why are we feeling that way? And one thing that we were talking about is I think that a lot of people have some form of it on some level. We just have so much going on that we get anxious or stressful. Depression is kind of a deep word. I think there's different levels of depression. There's chronic depression where you just can't get out of bed in the morning. And then there's depression where things aren't going the way that I think they should, or they can be better. Things can always be better. Things can always be worse. It's really your perception of what's going on and how you choose to deal with it that makes the difference in your life. But as with a lot of you know about my story, my past with my alcoholism and drug addiction, but the reason I bring that up is what's causing this? Like, in order to fix something as serious as anxiety and depression, you have to get down to the root conditions, not just, oh, I'm not feeling well, take this pill, or, there's got to be something I can take that will just make this go away. It's like, find out what's the root cause of it and then address that, get down to it and make the changes that you need to make to feel better. So what are some of the things that could be causing that? We live in a busy world. A lot of it is the lifestyles that we're living, and always an underlying cause to almost everything that's going on negatively in our life is fear. There's a fear attached, whether it's a fear that I'm going to lose something I have or I'm not going to get something that I want. And those fears are legit. They're seemingly legit, but they come up all the time. The trick is now to become aware of them. So first, what is depression? Right? So in most cases, it's a feeling of like hopelessness. Like, I'm a loser. I'm down. Things aren't going the way that I want them to. And now I'm depressed. Now I'm sad. Now I don't feel good. Things are messed up and they're never going to change. And, sometimes, you can really dig yourself down into that rabbit hole quite a bit to where you think that things are really never going to change. And when you get down that deep, that's where things like suicide happen, or just that deep chronic depression and that feeling that life is just hopeless and never going to change. And what is causing all that thing? So as humans, we all have basic needs. Like, we want to make some money. We want to eat. We need warmth. We need shelter. I like companionship. I'm pretty sure, it's not one of those basic needs that we talk about or that we learn about in school. But I think that just as humans, we're supposed to have like somebody to share the time with, somebody to share the day with. We're not supposed to be alone. And just that's my opinion anyway. I think some people aren't capable of relationships as well as others, but relationships also go deeper, So I just think that we're not meant to be alone all the time, because that isolation can really put us into a state of depression as well. And we all want to be somebody amongst our peers. We all want to, maybe it's to make as much money. Maybe it's to look a certain way or drive a certain car, whatever it is. I'm not saying right or wrong in this discussion. We could talk about that stuff another time. But what I'm saying is that we want to, whoever we're hanging around with, we want to feel a feeling of inclusion, like we belong, that we're part of something. And when we are, we feel better. And when we're not, then we start to feel depressed. Or if something happens and we don't feel like we know how to overcome it, then we start feeling depressed. There's a lot of different areas in life that you can apply this to, relationships for sure. But a big one that I'm going to use for the purposes of this discussion is our work. We spend so much time at our work, our jobs, our professions, our careers, whatever you want to call it. And are you enjoying that? What are you doing? I think like in college, we took a direction. We're like, I want to do this. I want to work in a business. I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, an accountant, a skier, whatever it is that you want to do. We chose a direction and we take this job because we, originally, I think that it's probably because we liked what we were doing or we wanted to get to a certain place and this was going to get us there. And so do you still feel that way? Like when you wake up in the morning, are you excited to go to work or are you dreading it? Is it good morning or, oh my God, another morning? So how are you feeling about going to work? The reason I use work is because it takes up so much time in our lives. Depending on what profession you're in, you probably check your email sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. And then you check your last email like late at night before you go to bed, 8 or 9 o'clock or even later. And that's about, 13 or 14 hours where you're attached to work. And if you don't like what you're doing, if you don't like your job, profession, career, if you don't like your boss, if you're miserable because you have to sit in traffic, because you don't like what you're doing anymore or where you're working, then that means that you're taking like 60% of your day is doing what you dread doing. And that takes up so much of your time and of your mental capacity to be productive and to be happy and achieve the things that you want to achieve. So there's a couple different things that you can do about that. The first thing, of course, is identifying it, which I talk about in my Funky Wisdom book all the time, but become aware of it. Okay, I'm aware of this now. Not I'm aware of it that I hate work and it sucks and I'm just going to keep going, but I'm aware that something needs to change in order for me to feel better, to not be as depressed or anxious or full of fear, whatever it is. And now you can do something about it. Well, in a lot of cases, you can't just quit. Like we have responsibilities, whether it's your family or your mortgage or your car payment, whatever it is. You can't just split. You can't quit. You have to be mature. You have to be an adult. And, sometimes there are times for that where if things just are miserable or, unbearable, then you can leave. You can, give your notice and go out and try to find another job. Or if it's just a dead end job anyway. Those are all different situations. You have to make the call on what's mature way to exit there. But what I'm talking about is, again, are you working on your dreams or on somebody else's dream? If you're not working on your dreams, find a way to do that. Find a way to make the changes that you need so you feel more fulfilled. So when you open your eyes in the morning, you're not dreading about getting out of bed. Again, we're just using this one example with work, but I think if you're excited to hit the floor and excited to go out and make a change in the world or advance your career or whatever, then it's going to make a huge difference in your outlook in your whole life and your whole perception of how life is going. If you enjoy your job, if you enjoy getting ready for work so you can get to work and make a difference, then that's going to change your whole outlook. It's going to help you be less depressed and less anxious and less fearful and enjoy each day a little bit more. There are studies that show that somewhere only between about 10 and 20% of us actually love the job that we do. Less than 20% actually love going to work every day. And then there's whatever the remainder of that 80 or so percentage, the bulk of that, about 50% are indifferent, meaning like they don't care if they go to work or not. They don't, well, not go to work. What I'm saying is that they're indifferent to their job. It's like, they don't mind it, but they don't love it either. They're just like doing it to make the paycheck, to pay the bills, to support the family and make the car payment and the mortgage payment. But is that how you want to live? And then there's about another 10 or so percent, 10 to 20% that just hate their jobs. And that's where that chronic depression and anxiety comes in, where these people are just up all night. And I've been in this position, to be honest with you, where you're up all night dreading for daylight to come, for that alarm to go off, because you just don't want to get out of bed and go do what it is that you're paid to do so you can keep living every day. But are you actually living or are you just existing? So I want to challenge you to just like make a decision to find a way to live better. So the two ways that you can make a difference. One, change your job. The other way is to change your perspective of your job. So there's a reason you took that job in the first place. If it's just a means to an end and you're completely miserable, go find another job, something that makes you more fulfilled. If you're in a career or you're in a job where you need to be more mature and you can't just split and you have your responsibilities, maybe it is your way that you're viewing your job, your perception of your job. Maybe there's a healthier way that you can view it. Maybe you can make an effort to be more communicative with your boss, with your peers, your coworkers. Maybe you can make some suggestions or some changes in the job to make it more exciting or fulfilling for you. And, again, I just brought up this example of the job because it consumes such a big part of our day. There's also the relationships. If you're, miserable in the relationship, is it your perception of how the relationship's going, or your perception of how you think it's supposed to go? Or is it truly like a disaster, like you guys can't be together? And if that's the case, then you have to, explore those options on your own. But remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. But in terms of anxiety and depression, I want to just bring awareness to the situation and draw out that you can make the changes. You have the power to become who you want to be. So identify where these sources of depression and anxiety are coming from, which is almost always from fear, and make those changes. One of the things that is really important is to surround yourself with people that give you energy, not that take away energy from you. Like when you have a conversation or when you have a meeting or when you're with somebody, when you leave that time with them, you should feel better. Not drained of energy. You should feel like you've been given energy. Not every conversation or meeting can go that way, but most of them should. And if they're not, then I'm suggesting to you to change the people that you're hanging out with. There's that 80-20 rule. 80% of the people you hang out with should give you energy. And the 20%, whether it's stressful family members or work meetings or things that you're just required to do as a responsible adult, but keep those at that 20% level. There's no reason to have 100% of the encounters you have suck energy out of your life. If that's happening to you, I'm suggesting to you that you can make that change and give yourself more energy almost immediately. Surround yourself with successful people, with people that are happy, that make you laugh, that are healthy, that exercise. Surround yourself with those people and you're going to become like those people. It's a law of nature. It's not Dennis's law. I didn't just make it up. It's just the way that it works. If you're surrounded by people that are laughing, you're going to laugh. If you're surrounded by success, you're going to become successful, or at least have that drive to make the changes that it's going to take to get you there. And, we can have this conversation forever, but I just wanted to bring some attention to why there's so much depression and anxiety. And we live in a stressful world. Absolutely. Whether it's listening to these unnatural noises that are out in the world or watching the news or work, of course, but looking at your phone all day and checking those emails, there's little steps that you can take to disconnect yourself from all of that negative activity. And I'm just challenging you to make some of those changes today, and you're going to feel a little bit better each day. Do something, one little thing each day to make yourself feel better, and you're going to get there. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you heard something that makes you want to make some changes today. Have a great day.